Welcome back to the venture capital private equity valuation. The last video clip we discussed how to calculate the unlevered beta and levered beta and how to convert from levered beta of the comparables to the levered beta of the firm, right? With unique the capital structure. And then we got this cost of equity, levered, unlevered, and the weighted average cost of capital. And then we discussed how to calculate cash flow in general, right? Now, let's move to the first, the capital cash flow model. We are using this capital cash flow model with this unlevered cost of equity. Yeah, because when you take a look at this cash flow, the EBIT times the 1 minus tax rate, that means, right, all the cash flows, including interest expense, is viewed as the equity holders benefit, right? And then this tax rate times the cost of debt times the debt is interest tax shield. Who benefits that interest tax shield? Right, the equity holders, right? That's why this cash flow model is viewed as just as if 100% equity financing. And then 100 equity financing needs only unlevered cost of equity because there's no debt assumed, right? So we need to get the free cash flow of the firm or free cash flow of this, of the firm or free cash flow as if cost of equity 100%, and then terminal value at year 4, and the interest tax shield, one of the part of the benefit, and then the total the terminal value or horizon value or permanent value of the tax shield as well. Okay, let's go. So here the EBIT times 1 minus, where's tax rate? 40% tax rate, right? I'm going to fix this 40% tax rate. Okay, and then we need to add back the depreciation because it's non-cash transaction, minus the capital expenditures, minus changes in working capital. So we got 2.5, which is free cash flow of the firm in this case. So we expanded this like this. So we got all these cash flows, right? But it doesn't include this interest tax shield yet. But we are going to calculate. Now, we assume the company will survive forever, right? Will operate forever, right? That's what the equity is. So we need to get the value, permanent value, horizon value, or the terminal value from end of year 4 to forever, infinitely, right? But this free cash flow is indicating only 4 years. That's why we need to calculate at the end of year 4 point the terminal value. How to get it? Right, the last year cash flows must be increased by, right, we assume this constant growth rate is after 4 years is 3%. It's very the conservative, right? And then now the discount rate we need from end of year 4, which is viewed as 0 point, but year 5, 6, 7, from year 5, 6, 7, right? Because 1 plus 1.92 cash flows will be increased by, right, constant growth rate, which is the cash flow of year 5. Now we need to discount this by, right, this is unlevered, right? Minus, now, where is it? One more time, growth rate, right? That is constant growth model. And then we got $11.46, $11 million is the permanent cash flow present value at the end of year 4 or at the beginning of year 5, right? The same time. Now, interest tax shield. How do we calculate interest tax shield? Interest here we already calculate, right? By the amount of interest we can reduce tax that is benefiting to the equity holders, right? So this interest expense times whereas tax rate, one more time, tax rate 40%, right? And then let's fix this number. Then 0.13 is the interest tax shield. Let's drag. Now let's assume, I know we need to take this assumption. Let's assume this interest tax shield that recurs forever, because we assume the debt will be constant. I know it's a little bit the unrealistic, but yeah, if we assume this amount tax the interest tax shield of this the capital structure, under this capital structure will the maintain, then we need to get the perpetuity, right? The perpetuity of this interest tax shield. So we got the terminal value of tax shield at the end of year 4, but it's not growing, right? So that's why we are not using this constant growth rate for the terminal value. So 0.13, the interest tax shield over, now we need one more time, this 20.3%. So we got 0.65 is terminal value tax shield at year 4. Now let's just sum all these cash flows up. Then we got finally total capital cash flows. Enterprise value first, because this cash flows is from the firm's cash flows. So enterprise value using the NPV function, the rate one more time, discount rate here, the unlevered cost of equity. Now, comma, let's drag all the cash flows in the futures, right? And then we got now 10 million is enterprise value. What we want to calculate is the equity value, right? So where is the current debt today? There you go, 3 million. So this 10 million minus 3 million. So 7.889 is the equity value through this the CCF model. Okay, let's move to the CCF model. Why do we use the unlevered cost of equity? Unlevered cost of equity. Why do we use this? Yeah, it is based on the assumption that what if the debt amount is repaid during the projections, or in the future, right? But in this case, the unlevered cost of equity is not affected by the debt to equity changes. So we use this unlevered cost of debt. But the free cash flow of the firm model, now we calculate just simply the firm's cash flows, right? And then we subtract the total debt, right? Assuming that the debt amount is maintained during the projections. So it is more clear, it is clearer to see the actual cash flows. Here, the free cash flow of the firm, exactly same process, right? Same process as we already calculated like here, right? I'm going to just drag, because equations other than this interest tax shield are the same, right? Then here, the terminal value must be different, right? The free cash flow, the last year of the projection, increased by growth rate. Where is growth rate? Constant growth rate at 3%. And then now what we are using for the discount rate is weighted average cost of capital minus, one more time, the constant growth rate. So we got this $12 million for the terminal value. Now let's sum all the cash flows each year, and then enterprise value, NPV rate is the WACC. Where is WACC? WACC here. Then let's drag it to the right. Then we got 11.03, right? 11.03 is the enterprise value. And then let's get this current debt amount. Current debt from here. Then finally we got the equity value is slightly different, right? Slightly different because we are using different different discount rate. Now finally, the free cash flow of equity model, the FCFE model using the levered cost of equity. Unlike these two, the free cash flow of the firm models, we use just the net income for the cash flows. Why? Because what we want to calculate is equity value directly. Okay, so there's no enterprise value calculated and then minus the debt, no that way, but we directly calculate the cash flows, right? That's why we are using this levered cost of equity. Here on the equation here, net income, right? Now is different, right? Net income only toward the equity investors. Then add back depreciation, capital expenditures, changes in the opening working capital. But this debt repayment and the new debt must be considered, right? Because that increase, right? The cash flows of the equity, right? Equity value, the cash amount that will be increased in like the capital the expenditures, or it can be used any the operating or investing, right? And that will affect definitely the equity value. So we consider this a debt increase decrease for the cash flows, but again we directly calculate, right, the equity value. So here now the starting point is different, right? The net income, right? And then add back the depreciation minus the capital expenditures and minus the changes in working capital, right? And then we got this cash flow of the equity. Let's drag. Now, the same way the constant growth model for the terminal value at the end of year 4 must be increased by, right, growth rate. There you go. And then discounted by, now, what is the discount rate of this FCFE model? Right, the levered beta, levered CAPM, levered cost of equity considered the debt, right? Debt financing. And then minus, one more time, growth rate, right? And then finally, we got this 9.29. Way lower amount if we got this free cash flow of equities each year compared to this two model. Let's take a look at this total, the cash flows, way lower, right? Yeah, that's correct. It's not wrong because the equity value is we directly want to get what we want to get, right? So there is no debt, current to debt subtractions. So here we directly calculate. Now, I guess the highest, right? The highest on cost of equity, right? The highest one. This comma. Let's drag this all the future cash flows. And then we got 8.3. Even it's greater than the equity values in other methods, right? So it's very simple exercise, but it's very powerful and understandable for students to get the insight of different types of cash flow model under DCF, the private equity valuation. Okay. See you in the next video clips. You guys, bye bye.